A Musical Life with David Steinbuhler, co-developer of the Donison Steinbuhler alternate-sized piano keyboards. Pianists with small hands have to overcome considerable physical challenges in order to be able to play great literature for the piano. Oftentimes, those challenges lead to muscle strain and even career-ending injuries. To address the unique needs of smaller hands, engineer and business owner David Steinbuhler collaborated with pianist Christopher Donison in 1991 to develop a new set of standard sizes and prototypes of smaller piano keyboards. This episode of A Musical Life was originally produced as a video documentary. Be sure to visit amusicallife.com to watch the full video. Welcome to A Musical Life. I'm Hugh Sung, and it's my great privilege to be in the home of David Steinbuhler here in Titusville, Pennsylvania. David, thank you so much for welcoming me so graciously to your home.
No, it's been a great pleasure to have you come.
Now, there's a very special reason why I'm here. You can probably see it over here. We see all these keyboard actions, and I don't know if you realize this, but for grand pianos, all those keys that move the hammers, that hit the strings, they can all be removed and replaced very easily. Let me show you something very, very special about what David has done to the design of these keyboards. Let's take a look. I don't know if you realize this, but I'm a very short person with very small hands. That's always been an issue when I've tried to play some of the most important literature for the piano. For example, the opening of the second piano concerto by Sergei Rachmaninoff has always been something that I had to compromise on. The way I would compromise was to play the bottom note first and then the rest of the chord, because my hands simply weren't big enough to play all the notes at once. And by the way, if you hear somebody else play it this way, you'll know they have small hands like me. So this is the way it would sound on a normal piano. Now with the Donison Steinbuhler smaller sized keyboard, look at what I can do. I've never been able to play this opening the way I'm going to show you right now. It's pretty exciting. I've never been able to play those big chords in the left hand in one fell swoop. It's amazing, and I'm surprised at how quickly my hands were able to adjust to the different key widths. Now, it takes a little bit of practice. I'm hitting much larger than the octave, so it would take a little bit of time for me to adjust, but in just a few minutes, I'm already finding my way around a lot faster than I thought I would. Pretty remarkable. So David, this is remarkable. Just the fact that I can play the repertoire that is challenging for smaller hands and play it comfortably and musically, this is nothing short of revolutionary. But this isn't the first smaller keyboard. I know Joseph Hoffman, for example. He was a very famous pianist at the turn of the century. He was actually the very first director of the Curtis Institute of Music. He had a smaller keyboard designed for him. There have been smaller keyboards, but they've been custom designed for artists that could afford the expense. Tell us how you got into, what inspired you to work on these special keyboards?
Yes, in 1991, I met Christopher Donison, who was the music director of the Shaw Festival in the 90s.
Now, how did you meet him?
Yeah, well, we stayed at he and his wife were running a bed and breakfast, and we happened to stay at his bed and breakfast, and he had a 7/8 keyboard in his concert grand at the bed and breakfast.
Now, let's back up for a second. You're not a pianist.
No.
And you're not a piano technician. What do you actually do for,
No.
what did you do for a living up to that point?
Well, we have a family textile business that goes back to the 1800s.
Wow.
My sons are currently running it, and they're 5th generation, so.
And so you were in textiles, and you meet this man who introduces you to this special, piano with a smaller keyboard. What did that do to you? It's evidently it changed your life in some way.
Well, yes, he had a vision of creating a second standard for women, 2 sizes. He was thinking 2 sizes. The conventional for men, a 7/8 for women. That's what he had in his piano. And I thought that was a big idea. And he was talking about a data bank and CNC machines making the keyboards, and this was things that I can do.
Because you have all that kind of equipment.
Well, we have engineering background, and we build equipment at the plant and so forth.
Wow.
So I believe that this was an opportunity being given to me, and so I started to tinker, and it's been more or less as a hobby, and I first came back home and pulled my action out and was looking at it.
So you had a piano at the time,
yes,
your own piano. Okay.
I had that piano.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Yeah, and I pulled that action out to see what was in there. I saw the technician had done that. And I started thinking about what it would take to build smaller sizes. And one thing has led to another, and so forth. And
well, you know what, let's cut away. I actually had an opportunity to visit your textile factory.
Yes.
And that's where you actually have the workshop and all the amazing machinery that you use to design and build and create these amazing keyboards. Let's take a look. The magic for creating these smaller keyboards takes place in David Steinbuhler's Ribbon Factory, a family-run business that's been around since 1897. Step inside and you'll see thousands and thousands of spools of ribbons and rolls of string made to create those ribbons, along with an endless array of machinery, much of it custom-built by David's grandfather and uncle. Because they need to make their own parts and tools, David's factory uses a number of specialized machines called CNC, or Computer Numeric Control machines, which use computers to precisely design and cut out parts from wood. David's piano keyboard workshop can be found on the 2nd floor of his factory, surrounded by old pianos and tools used to create his custom Donison Steinbuhler smaller-sized keyboards. Musicians and music lovers come from all over the world to try out David's smaller-sized keyboards.
yesterday, a fellow flew up from Florida to put his hand on. This is his keyboard. He came up to check it out yesterday.
How about
This is his second one that he's bought. He's got one in Florida, and now this is going to be in Vancouver. He's got a.
How cool.
Yeah. So.
Is he a professional musician?
No, he's a doctor, but he's got a custom. This is a custom size. It's not the DS size.
I see. First, the piano's original action is shipped to David's factory. In a normal piano action design, the keys are straight strips of wood that function as complex levers to propel the hammers to strike the strings from below. David measures the dimensions of the original keyboard action to fashion the smaller-sized dimensions. The first thing you notice is that a number of the key strips are sharply angled to make up the difference in width from the narrower keys.
And this is the kind of the secret. This is how we can get these smaller keys to still fit in a standard size piano.
With
Look
that
at
bracket. Yeah, you're taking all the secrets up, but
But you have this all patented, yes?
Well, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Wow, but it's beautiful. Look at that.
but this needs here are the braces I put on.
So the braces are the extra, I see. So this is the extra
how-
wooden,
see how-
yeah. Look at that.
Special brackets and reinforced wood braces help to maintain the strength of the keys working with oblique angles.
And on the other side, with the lighter
Yeah.
action, you don't need those braces, do you? Okay, so the lighter action doesn't need those braces, per se.
You can see, right.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Very, very cool. Oh, okay, so you use the router to cut these keys out. Wow.
We're felting them.
Uh-huh. And you use the same quality woods that they use for the standard actions, right?
Well, actually, I use different wood.
Ah, what's the reasoning for the different wood?
The wood is stronger.
Ah, stronger wood for the action.
Right.
What is typically used in a normal action?
The pine.
And what kind of woods are you using?
Maple.
Ah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because you need extra strength because of the angle of the action, right?
Right. That action right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you go measure Steinways, they're all different.
Oh, really?
They're handmade.
Yes.
And you measure one, measure another one, and
They won't be the same.
slightly, the internal dimensions are slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a Yamaha,
Uh-huh.
and this action is for a CFX, the Yamaha Concert Grand.
They're new, yeah.
There's the Donison Steinbuhler standard, the DS 6.0.
Mm-hmm.
We're just now experimenting in Dallas. We put that action on into 3 different CFXs,
Mm-hmm.
and it traveled very easily.
So the Yamahas are more consistent,
Yes,
but the Steinways are not.
not so consistent.
Oh boy! So what do you do with Steinways when
Well, they're
you have to
all
you have to custom measure them?
I
huh?
measure them.
Wow! So they have to be much more tailored for each individual piano.
Yeah, to get it to fit.
Right.
Now I've got adjustable features on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
These. Here are the glide pins, right?
Oh, so there are glide pins here. Oh wow!
Yeah, there's, and you can adjust that.
Oh wow! Look
Right.
at that.
And there's the soft pedal plate in the back underneath is adjustable.
Mm-hmm. Wow!
And I got bedding blocks that are adjustable. And
So you can take your action and then micro-tune it to a specific piano's dimensions.
we can adjust some,
Mm-hmm.
but if I'm going to do one for a Steinway, I'm going to measure it.
Yeah.
We're learning the Yamaha,
Mm-hmm. It's much more consistent, huh?
like what they're building now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's
So that for like Juilliard is asking for a demonstration,
yes.
and they have a CFX,
Yes.
so I could take this in New York and
How cool!
slide it in there
Very, very cool.
without a whole lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did it for a Steinway, it would be more,
More difficult.
the technician at the other end.
How interesting! Wow.
Yeah.
To help technicians adjust David's keyboards to fit pianos precisely, he even came up with his own measuring toolbox, complete with custom tools and a guidebook.
Wow. Did you design these tools yourself?
I did.
How cool! Look at that. Wow.
Specialized tools for measuring,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right?
Now, so some of these look like standard tools. Obviously, the Stanley ruler, the screwdrivers. But what are some of the custom components that you actually came up with yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to share that if it's confidential. But I mean, I'm sure from this video, the technicians will recognize things. But it's interesting because I know piano technicians. Every good technician makes their own tools, their own jigs to solve their particular
Right.
problems, right?
That's
So,
what I've done here.
oh,
And it's right. There, Rhonda Boyle, who lives in Melbourne,
yes.
she's the one that has the PAX
Mhm.
website.
Yes.
Back in 2008, she was bugged me, and I knew I needed to be able to efficiently measure piano. So
Uh-huh.
in 2008, I developed a kit,
How about
and
that?
I took it to Australia
Uh-huh.
and measured her piano with the kit.
Wow.
There's the data for the Bruckner,
Mm-hmm.
And I also get a scale stick. You know, I measure where the hammers all go.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
And I also very accurately measure the. See, this will depending on moisture, will shrink and stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But I very accurately get the overall length
Uh-huh.
of the keys from the end and that. And I enter this data into the computer. All right. Right here, this one.
Yeah, this computer. Okay. Very cool.
And my software will, from those numbers, design the keys, design the frame,
And have it sent out to the CNC to cut it out for you.
cut them out.
How long does the whole process take? From, let's say you get the measurements. How fast could these keyboards be made?
Well, in a day we'll cut the keys out.
Wow. Okay.
And then
So you're using your computer to design this. This is a pretty old computer here.
this one.
Wow.
But here's where all the software is right there.
Ah. So this is a CNC machine where you can pretty much build anything from the computer design, right? Very, very cool.
This is where we cut the keys out.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so the keys are actually custom cut here.
Right.
Designed and cut. Wow. Straight from the computer to this machine.
Right.
Wow. That is
And
really,
then the
really.
frames.
The CNC looks like a long table with an overhanging machine on rails connected to a computer terminal. From David's measurements, the dimensions of the angled keys can be automatically cut to precision using stacks of various woods depending on the action part, from boards of hard maple for the keys and action frames to small slabs of black ebony for the sharp and flat keys. Even with the automation in place, there's still a lot of assembly that can only be done by hand, from attaching plastic key tops to felt bushings and final fittings.
Oh, there you go. There's some. Wow. There's ebony, raw ebony wood for the. Yeah.
Make the sharps out of
The sharps and flats. There you go. How about
it.
that?
And so the various sizes of the ebony.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the 5.5, the DS 5.5 is 0.318 inches. The DS 6.0 is 0.344 inches, a little bigger.
Really cool.
Yeah, you make the sharps, and it's all done by hand.
Still, that stuff has. So there still has to be some hand.
Lots of
hand
work, right? So those are cut down and
and then shaped.
they all need to be shaped,
Mm-hmm.
felted, and so on and so forth. These will go into Walter pianos.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Walter upright.
Now the uprights are more difficult. You can't take the upright action in and out, right? Because the action is kind of built into the piano, right? So.
So someone wants a Walter upright with the this will have the DS button on it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Beautiful.
this is a DS 5.5, and that's a DS 6.0.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a university and you play these keyboards, it's life changing. It's life changing. But the moment you graduate and leave the university, there isn't one. That's the problem. And so people are afraid to use them.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't know what they're going to. There's no
As soon as you
standardization.
leave, there isn't one.
Yeah.
But electronic keyboard manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking very quickly down the road, an electronic keyboard manufacturer if they would adopt this size and provide those sizes, you can take your instrument with you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that ensures you're getting the size that the universities have been studying for the past 15 years.
David, what a fascinating look at your factory and the processes for making these amazing keyboards. So tell us a little bit more about the various sizes and the standards that you're hoping to develop for these keyboards.
Yes, when I first met Christopher Donison. He had the vision of creating a second standard, male, female sizes, and he had a 7/8 keyboard in his bed and breakfast, where an octave on the keyboard was a seventh on the conventional, and so I felt a strong need to do a study to figure out what sizes should be offered to the world and how many sizes there should be. And we quickly determined that we needed an additional size we needed 3 sizes. Some wanted to go smaller, some wanted to go bigger. And we ended up slightly smaller than a 7/8, and one in the middle we're calling the universal.
So you actually have a name for this standardized set of
sizes.
sizes.
It was Christopher's idea, he created the DS standard. It has a DS button, and so these sizes that I've established are the Donison-Steinbuhler standard.
And what are those standard sizes? Because in the string world, we have for violins like a quarter-size violin, half-size, three-quarter size. These are sizes of violins relative to the full-size violin.
Yeah.
Because for a child, there's no way a young hand would be able to reach the distance necessary on a full-size violin.
That's right.
That's why in the string world we accommodate. It just seems to make sense. We should have standardized sizes. So can you describe these actual sizes? They're based on measurements of the octave, aren't they?
Yes, right. From the center of one C to the center of the next C on a conventional keyboard measures 6.5 inches, plus or minus a little bit around the world.
Okay, and so tell us a little about the standardized sizes that you're proposing.
And I've got what I call the Donison-Steinbuhler ratio, where I go from one size to the next. And with that ratio, I go to the universal size, which has an octave of 6.0, and then I go to the 7/8 size, which has an octave size of 5.54. We call it the DS 5.5. This is the DS 6.0. And then we've gone one further again for children, which is the DS 5.1.
Wow. So once again, we have the Donison-Steinbuhler standards, a DS little button,
Yeah.
and this number, which makes it very easy to see exactly which size you're going to be working on, right?
Right,
Wow.
right. There's a competition that offers these sizes. First time ever in Dallas.
Wow.
The Dallas International Piano Competition. And it's important that contestants coming to the competition know what size keyboards will be there.
Now, you have an interesting story about that competition. Wasn't there somebody who actually came and actually was one of the winners of the competition?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about
yeah.
this pianist. Yeah.
In March, a year ago last March, a contestant came who had never played the smaller keyboards before, but she was experiencing pain and strain in her forearm.
Ooh, yeah.
And she arrived on a Wednesday to compete on a Thursday, and she went to the universal size, and she made the cut on Thursday. She went to the competition on Friday, made the finals, and then ended up winning a third prize in the finals. And by Saturday on the finals, her pain and strain in her arms was completely eliminated.
See, that's remarkable on two fronts. Number one, that she was able to adjust so quickly.
Yes.
1/3 prize, which is no small, no mean, that's amazing for a relatively unfamiliar instrument. But also that the pain actually went away.
Yes, she finally got to keyboards that actually fit her hand.
Wow.
Universities around the world, I would argue that 70% of students studying piano do not have are not studying on instruments that fit their hands. There's profound discrimination.
Which discrimination, in a sense, which could lead to permanent injuries. And I've seen this in the professional
Oh,
world
yes.
time and time again, where so many of my colleagues have been struggling, especially ones with smaller hands, have had to stop their careers because of hand injuries, arm injuries, which it sounds like these small, it just seems to make perfect sense. It's just the same way that you wouldn't have a child playing on a full-size instrument because they would permanently injure their
Right.
fingers. You create an instrument that fits their hands. It seems to make so much sense. David, this is so exciting. I really hope that we can help to spread the word to other universities, recital halls, and other piano distributors about these amazing keyboards and standards that you're working to develop. So
Yes, I'm interested to establish a foundation where if electronic keyboard manufacturers, piano manufacturers were to adopt these sizes and use the logo, that royalties would go to a foundation to help promote the idea of the smaller sizes around the world. It's my vision.
Wow, what a fantastic vision. I wish you all the best. David, thank you so much for inviting me to your home and giving us such an in-depth look into the fascinating world of the Donison Steinbuhler keyboards. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming. It's been a great pleasure to meet you. You're full of energy and enthusiasm.
I don't think my energy quite matches yours.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
For links to David's website, as well as the full video documentary, visit the show notes at amusicallife.com. There you'll also find a link to a fascinating online organization called Pianists for Alternately Sized Keyboards, or PASC. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter to get the latest updates on future episodes. You can also subscribe to A Musical Life through iTunes or with your favorite podcast playing app and get new episodes automatically downloaded onto your smartphone, tablet, or computer. If you enjoy these stories about making music and the things that move our souls, please tell a friend about this show and consider posting a short review on iTunes at amusicallife.com/review. Thank you for your support. Until next time, I'm Hugh Sung, and I wish you a musical life.